good, everyone? Welcome to Kevin's Circle. I'm just here to give y'all a little inspiration on all your DIY projects. So let's get started. Today I wanted to show you all the before and the after of my garage and talk about how I did it and talk about the mistakes that I made along the way. So once again, here is the finished project. When I had first started, I only had these two shelves over here on the right and the two shelves over here on the left. I can show you a picture of that. And we just weren't happy with that, and so we had decided to add this middle part as well to kind of just maximize our original idea of making the space feel larger than it actually is and using all that dead space up top, because it is a single car garage. When that car is in here, there wasn't much room in here to work, so I wanted to be able to hide the strollers, the shop vac, the air compressor, any other awkward items that we have that, you know, we don't use all the time, because we wanted that walk space. As far as the tools I used my 10-inch miter saw, my hand saw, impact drill, hammer drill. You're gonna want a stud finder, tape measure, pencil, a couple levels. I used my squares a couple times. As far as materials go, I just used basic 2x4 lumber and 5/8 inch OSB. As far as screws, I really like these Rite construction screws. They're self-tapping, so you technically don't have to drill pilot holes, but I like to sometimes just to avoid splitting. So I use that to go into the studs, and for the top I don't have a nail gun, so I just use shorter construction screws for that, just going into the top. You can see one right there. As far as the actual 2x4s going in to support for up against the wall, I use these 3 5/8 inch bolts, and I didn't want to do too much into the wall, so I just used one of these every stud. So next up, once you figure out the size of shelves you want, how many shelves you want, that way you know how much material to get, and once you have all the tools you need, then you're gonna want to mark off all your studs on the wall. And that's what I did first. I just made a line so that I can follow along and never have to go back and find the stud. And that was the first thing I did. Once I knew where all the studs were and how big the shelves I wanted to make, then, for example, this is a pretty shallow shelf, but I just did it for you guys to show an example. I drilled my 3.5 inch construction screws into the back to the support 2x4s. And once you have, depending on how long it is and how many support 2x4s you want going along the shelf, once you have that, then you're gonna find where you want to place it, find the stud, drill a pilot hole for your bolt, put your bolt in. If your shelf is long enough to do 2, 3, 4 studs at a time, you know, just worry about getting your first one in first, and then you can worry about leveling it as long as it's about where you want it. Mine was pretty simple because I just went on the top, the first shelf, I went on the top of my foundation. So all I really had to do was make sure it was level. Once you get that in, then you can go ahead and pretend this is on the wall, you can go ahead and put your other stud up against it, drill that in with 2 more screws on each side. Then you have your OSB cut to the length that you need and the depth that you need. Put that on top. And the nice thing with working with wood is you can make these shelves as big as you want, as wide as you want, as many shelves as you want. For me, I just wanted about 3 tiers of shelves with space on the bottom to store all that extra stuff. And I kind of customized it around my toolbox and around the freezer I have. So that's what's nice about doing this, how you want to do it. You can customize it any way you want. So once I got those shelves all in place, then the finishing support that I put in were these vertical 2x4s, and I did 2 of those on each side. Because without those, I just don't think it would be strong enough to hold all the weight that we have. But once I put those in, I was able to hang on these shelves and, you know, put as much weight as on them without them even budging. So originally, when I had just put these shelves in, it was enough because I didn't plan on putting too much on it. And then I added that middle shelving unit. And as long as you just take your time, measure twice, cut once, you know what you want, you know how big your shelves are gonna be, you know how many shelves you want, then it's pretty straightforward. I made some tweaks along the way. Like I said, I only had those shelves on the side at first, and then I wanted to add that middle one. And that kind of complicated things a little bit because I didn't make perfect measurements on the side for these shelves. And so I had gaps, and I had to add some pieces of wood in between here in order to fit that gap so that I could drill the vertical 2x4s to my actual shelf. But there wasn't anything too crazy as far as mistakes. With any project you do, you're just gonna have to improvise and tweak things along the way. You're gonna come across roadblocks and realize, you know, your original idea may not work. So it's back to the drawing board. And once I totally finished the shelves, then I kind of just added my little personal things that I wanted to add. You know, a little paper towel holder. I added a little pegboard here. I had scrap wood left over, so I had made an additional shelf to just throw in here. This was a piece that I already had cut, so then I just cut some 2x4s, 6 of them, and just put them across the bottom. And I didn't screw this down or anything. It's just an extra little shelf in there for some knick-knack things. And that's about it. So if you guys have any other questions or concerns, go ahead and drop a comment down below, and I'll be able to answer anything that I can. Thank you all for watching the video. Let's have a wonderful day.